Heartwarming discovery, how a chance hug with a poor girl transformed a millionaire's life forever. Jack Thornton was the picture of success, a millionaire in a tailored suit, striding through the world with confidence. But beneath that crisp silk exterior lay an aching emptiness. At 45, Jack had everything, the mansion, the luxury cars, and a portfolio that dazzled. Yet inside, he felt lost, a man disconnected from his family and drowning in the relentless pursuit of more prestige, more power, more money. That morning, the sun spilled golden light over the local community center, where laughter and chatter buzzed like honeybees. Jack marched ahead, eyes glued to his phone, oblivious to the vibrant parade of life around him. He was a storm cloud in a sun-soaked sky. Suddenly, he collided with a small figure. Whoa! He snapped his gaze up, and his heart raced as he found himself face to face with Lily. She was a scrappy girl, probably 10 or so, with hair like sunshine and a smile that beamed from her soul. "Sorry," she exclaimed, and before he could respond, she wrapped her arms around him in a tight embrace. The shock sent ripples through him. He had been hugged by a stranger. Her warmth was electric, a radiant jolt that momentarily shattered his corporate shell. He blinked, taking in the kaleidoscope of laughter, hope, and dreams swirling around him. "Wow," he whispered, feeling the grip of his empty world loosen for the first time in years. Jack found himself drawn back to the community center, eager to see this girl again. Slowly, a friendship blossomed. Lily poured her heart out to him, sharing tales of her dreams of becoming an artist, painting the world that felt so far away from her rundown neighborhood. As he listened, her determination made him question his own heart. Was his pursuit of wealth really what mattered? But soon came preparations for the charity event. Could he lift Lily up, showcase their bond? Jack's wealthy peers whispered disdain, ridiculing him for mingling with the less fortunate. The familiar hunger for approval clawed at him, nudging him away from her. Before long, the bittersweet edge of his choices made Lily confront him. "Why are you ashamed of me?" she asked, her voice a fragile, breaking chord. The honesty cracked Jack open. Financial success started to crumble into dust in comparison to the connection they formed. Then came the night of the charity event. Lights dimmed, everyone's eyes were on him as he took the stage. His body felt heavy with unspoken doubts, yet he couldn't ignore the weight of love for family heavy in his heart. Taking a deep breath, he opened his mouth, but murmurs from the crowd snaked through the air, doubt filtering into their faces. Who does he think he is, associating with them? They scoffed. Jack's pulse quickened. Just as he was about to respond, he saw Lily at the back, tears glittering in her eyes, a lighthouse guiding him through the storm. Jack's heart raced. Would he choose the cold comfort of status? Or embrace the warmth of true connection? The silent tension in the air crackled, waiting for his answer. The echoes of laughter and dreams hung on the edge of his decision, a heartbeat away from changing everything. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. And in that laden moment of uncertainty, Jack faced the truth. Would he slip back into the shadows of isolation or step into the vibrant light of human connection? Jack took a deep breath and met the gazes of the crowd. He felt the weight of their expectations like a heavy cloak. This was a moment he couldn't take lightly. He thought of Lily, her bright smile, her unyielding spirit, the dreams she shared in that small community center. What was life if not shared? "Everyone," he began, his voice steady despite the rapid beating of his heart. "Tonight isn't just about raising money. It's about connection. It's about understanding that our strength lies in our unity, not in our individual wealth." He glanced toward the back of the room where Lily stood, every feature illuminated by the soft glow of the stage lights. Her eyes sparkled with hope. The murmurs started again, but Jack pressed on. I've spent years building a facade of success. But standing here tonight, I realize that the true treasure is found in relationships and kindness. He felt the walls he had built around his heart begin to crumble, piece by piece. He continued, when I met a young girl named Lily, I found a reality I had long forgotten. A reality filled with passion, dreams, and the fire of survival. We often forget to look beyond our own ambitions. But what if we chose to change the narrative? His words hung in the air, weaving through the audience like a thread. Jack saw a flicker of interest emerging. I want to introduce her to you all. Lily, come up here. The applause erupted, but it was mixed with caution. Jack's heart raced with uncertainty as he beckoned her forward. Would they welcome her? Would he finally stand alongside the girl who had changed his world? Lily walked hesitantly to the stage, her small frame tense with nerves, yet Jack could see the flicker of bravery in her eyes. He took her hand, and together, they faced the crowd. There was a moment of silence before a wave of clapping began. The room transformed as Jack felt the energy shift, their doubts slowly melting away like ice in sunlight. Lily looked up at him, her eyes shining bright. Thank you for showing me that dreams can come true, she murmured, and those humble words struck Jack in a way he never anticipated. In that instant, he knew his life would never be the same. What do you want to create, Lily? Jack asked, hoping to bring her dreams to life. I want to paint the world how I see it, she responded earnestly. I want to make people feel what I feel when I look at a sunset or a field of flowers. Jack's gaze softened. Then let us make this night about helping you and others like you. Let us raise money for art supplies, mentorship, and a future. As they rallied the audience, something beautiful unfolded. Jack felt the warmth of genuine connections blooming, laughter blossoming where there had once been judgment. The evening turned into something more significant, a chance to weave their stories into the fabric of the community. But just as the atmosphere became electric, the phone in Jack's pocket buzzed, vibrating against his heart. He dismissed it, focusing on the crowd and the joy blooming before him. Yet, a knot of worry squeezed his stomach. What could be happening in his high-stakes world while he stepped into this new journey? Hours passed, filled with hope, conversation, and a tangible change in the air. But when he received another buzz, Jack couldn't ignore it any longer. The weight of his corporate responsibilities hung heavy over his thoughts. As Lily celebrated with new friends, Jack stood at the edge of the room, contemplating. To trade a life of empty luxury for a future rich in connection. But just then, a friend from his past appeared with an expression that sent chills down his spine. Jack, it's urgent, the friend said, lowering their voice. Jack felt every heartbeat echoing, the laughter around him blending with tension, leaving him at a crossroads once more. Would he let the pressures of his old life reel him back in, or could he keep fighting for the light he'd found? The moment of truth hovered over him, and all Jack could do was wonder how deep was he willing to dive into this new reality before the tide pulled him away. Jack turned to face his old friend, felt the warmth of the celebration around him suddenly chill. What's urgent? He asked, though a part of him didn't want to know. Perhaps it was better to ignore the past, letting this newfound sense of connection anchor him. Your company is facing a major crisis, the friend said, glancing around as if wary of eavesdroppers. There are rumors of a takeover. If it goes through, you could lose everything. Those words hit Jack like a punch to the gut. The life he had meticulously constructed, his dreams, the investments, and the carefully curated image was on the verge of collapse. His mind raced back to the moment he decided to stand on that stage, speak for Lily, and choose empathy over ambition. Are you sure it's serious? He asked, though he already knew the answer. The look in his friend's eyes told him everything. It wasn't just a rumor. It was real, and it was looming. I'd put my money on it. You've got to act fast, they insisted. There's still a chance to protect your interests. The lively chatter around him faded into a dull hum as Jack stared out at the crowd. He saw Lily laughing with her new friends, her innocence and resilience illuminating the room. She had opened his heart, shown him a world he had abandoned. Could he really step back into the murky waters of corporate greed? Suddenly, a wave of frustration surged within him. Why do we always have to prioritize money over people? He said, half to himself. The words fell like stones in the air, causing a few nearby to glance his way. I know it's hard, Jack, his friend replied, a hint of concern creeping into their tone. But you can't just walk away. You've worked too hard for this. Torn, Jack felt a suffocating tension build in his chest. He could stay true to the path he had chosen, the one he had taken to find purpose and meaning with Lily. Or he could retreat to the familiar shadows of his corporate life, where success was measured by profits rather than passion. I can't go back to that. I won T, he said, the conviction in his voice surprising even himself. Then what are you planning to do? You know the risks. Jack's jaw tightened. His hands clenched at his sides. Maybe I don't need to protect it the way I thought. He narrowed his eyes, looking at the crowd, now a vibrant tapestry of lives intertwining. They were all here for something bigger, more significant than just monetary exchange. They were here for hope, for change. And maybe, just maybe, he could also be a part of that change. Jack, think this through. You don't want to throw away your future, his friend urged, but the resolve in his heart began to solidify. Maybe it's time for my future to change, Jack muttered, feeling a spark of courage ignite within. Lily's dreams were echoing in his mind. He couldn't turn his back on that. He pulled his phone from his pocket, resisting the urge to respond to the messages flooding in. Instead, he turned to his friend, determination coursing through him. Help me organize a fundraiser. A big one. We can use my platform to spread awareness and support for Lily and those like her. His friend's expression shifted, surprise and admiration melding as they registered Jack's shift in priorities. Are you serious? Jack nodded, a new fire burning in his chest. Let us create something meaningful. A way to show that success isn't just about wealth but about nurturing dreams. Just then, Lily caught sight of the two in deep conversation and made her way over, her eyes shining like stars. Jack! Did you see how many people are excited about the project? Before he could respond, she threw her arms around him in a spontaneous hug. In that moment, everything shifted. Jack felt the weight of his burdens lift, replaced by something far more powerful: connection. This was what he wanted to fight for. This was a life worth living. But as the laughter echoed in his ears, doubt flickered at the edges of his mind. Would he have to sacrifice everything to pursue this new dream? In pursuing Lily's vision, would he be losing his own? The air crackled with possibility, leaving Jack on a precipice of discovery. What was the next step in this journey he had just begun? And could he truly brave the storm to secure a brighter future for both him and Lily? Jack felt the heat of Lily's embrace linger as he stepped back, still caught in the glow of the moment. Her laughter was infectious, and it pulled him from the whirlwind of his thoughts. She radiated joy, a spark he wanted to fuel. Did you really mean what you just said? She asked, her eyes wide with hope. About the fundraiser? Absolutely, he replied, trying to match her enthusiasm. We need to amplify your project's voice. This isn't just about raising money, it's about creating a movement. Together, we can change lives. Lily clapped her hands together, bouncing on the balls of her feet. This is amazing. I can't wait to tell everyone. Her excitement was pure and unfiltered, and it fueled Jack's resolve. It felt right to shift his focus from his crumbling empire to something that mattered. He wasn't just getting involved, he envisioned leading this charge. As they began discussing the details, Jack's friend watched with a complex mixture of admiration and concern. Just remember, Jack, they cautioned, leaning in closer. You're a big player in this world. Making this shift won't be easy. You'll have powerful people watching. Let them watch, Jack said. The words came with a sense of freedom he hadn't felt in years. The world he once ran from, filled with numbers and boardrooms, was now a distant memory. He was diving into something more rewarding. That night, the gathering began to wind down. Jack and Lily stayed back, sketching plans on the back of a napkin. Ideas flowed, optimism bloomed, and laughter filled the air. The phone calls and meetings awaiting him would have to wait. Right now, Jack felt as if he was flying, free from the weight of corporate expectations. As the clock ticked late into the night, a shadow crossed Jack's mind. What if the takeover rumors were true? What if everything he was building collapsed before it even began? Lily's voice jolted him back to the present. Jack, are you okay? Her brow furrowed with concern. Yeah, he lied with a thin smile. Just thinking about all the people we can help. But you're doing it, Jack. You're taking the leap. She leaned in closer, her sincerity wrapping around him like a warm blanket. That's what matters. It was her faith that bolstered him, the reminder that change was like that spark igniting wood in the hearth. A slow build, but at any moment, it could explode into life. The next week, Jack immersed himself in planning. Meeting with vendors, finding sponsors, and rallying the community. The air was electric with potential, and Jack felt more alive than he had in years. But as the date for the fundraiser approached, the clouds loomed again. Reports surfaced repeatedly about the ongoing takeover. Meetings at work became frantic. The tension inside his corporate world felt thick and suffocating, contrasting sharply with the buoyant atmosphere around Lily's project. When his boss called for an emergency meeting, Jack's stomach dropped. He could hear the words "takeover" again, echoing in the back of his mind. With a shaky breath, he excused himself, desperation pushing him toward a decision. Lily, he said later, struggling to keep his voice steady. There's something I need to tell you. Just then, the crowd of volunteers at the fundraiser began to gather, emotions palpable in the air. Jack's heart raced, caught between navigating a corporate storm and investing in a future that felt bright, even if uncertain. He couldn't let that new existence slip through his fingers. Could he stand against the tide and ensure Lily's South vision found its place in the world? With so much at stake, would he find the courage to carve out a new path for them both? The event was a lamp lit against the encroaching darkness. But Jack knew that to protect it, sacrifices might need to be made. As he stood before the crowd, a knot twisted in his stomach. He faced a choice that could change not just his life, but also Lily's. What would happen if he stepped away from it all? Would he be creating a new legacy, or sealing his own fate? The pressure mounted, leaving him on the brink of a truth he had to confront. The moment was electric. Jack stood there, the murmur of the crowd buzzing around him, a cacophony of voices blending with hopeful laughter. His heart raced. Everyone was looking at him, but it felt like he was looking through a glass wall, separated from the vibrancy and energy surrounding him. They believed in him. They believed in the fundraiser. But behind the scenes, chaos was brewing. Jack. Lily's voice sliced through his haze of fear. She was at his side, her eyes alight with excitement. Are you ready? They're waiting for you to say a few words. He forced a smile, willing himself to step closer to the edge of whatever cliff he stood on. Sure, he said, but the word felt hollow. Was he really ready? Lily placed a reassuring hand on his arm. Just speak from the heart. That's what they need to hear, she encouraged. Her belief in him felt like a lifeline, and he latched on, drawing strength from her unwavering optimism. As he walked toward the makeshift podium, Jack's mind raced. Could he share the truth? Could he lay bare the struggle of the corporate world weighing down on him while trying to uplift Lily's vision? The spotlight felt blinding, illuminating the faces of people who had come together in support. They were a blend of his old life, a few acquaintances from the business realm, and a new, unfamiliar family of volunteers eager to make a difference. He stood there, silent, stretching out in front of him like a tightrope. He could jump off into the unknown or turn back to the safety of corporate life. He took a deep breath, the warmth of Lily's encouragement pooling around him like a shield. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began, his voice steadying. "This isn't just about raising funds for a project. This is about hope for a better future." The more he spoke, the more he felt a shift within himself. Shoulders relaxing, fists unclenching. He watched as people nodded, their faces infused with encouragement. Lily's project can change lives. It's all of our responsibility to advocate for those who need it most. And in doing so, we also redefine ourselves. There's power in community. A ripple of applause broke out. Something warm spread through him. They wanted to join the journey. But beneath it all, his mind was still grappling with his own choices. He couldn't ignore that dark cloud threatening to overshadow them. As he continued speaking, he decided to let a piece of himself out, the honest part. "I admit, I've been lost. I've been caught in a world where profit mattered more than purpose. The stakes have never felt higher for me. And I'm scared." He could feel the crowd lean in, their expressions softening. "But standing here tonight, I realize how much this movement means. It's not just about the money, it's about people. It's about us. And I want to fight for this. For all of you and for us." The applause grew louder, a swell of genuine support. Jack's heart soared, and in that moment, he looked for Lily in the crowd. Their eyes met, and she smiled at him, a beacon pulling him deeper into the warmth of belonging. But even as he felt embraced, a cold shiver ran down his spine. What if it all unraveled after this night? What if the takeover rumors became more than just whispers? A sudden flash of doubt gripped him. Just then, a familiar face emerged from the throng. His boss. The man who'd spent years molding Jack into a corporate weapon. Tom's presence sent a jolt through him. Would he let this moment shatter under the weight of old ties? "Jack!" Tom called out, a tight smile on his face. "We need to talk." The crowd buzzed around him, clapping, but one look at Tom's expression sent Jack's heart racing in a different direction. It was a challenge wrapped in a smile. Would he walk away from this new life to face the familiar dark again? Or could he hold on to the light he'd just ignited? Caught between two worlds, Jack's heart began to pound. This was the moment everything could change, and yet, the road ahead felt uncertain. What would he choose? Jack felt the warmth of the crowd's applause fade into the background as he turned to face Tom. The enthusiasm of the moment felt worlds away from the sternness in his boss's eyes. It was as if the room went silent just for them, the cheers of support dimming to mere echoes while the weight of Jack's decision hung heavily in the air. "Can we speak somewhere private?" Tom asked, his tone clipped, pushing against the moment that Jack had just built. Jack nodded, swallowing hard. His heart drummed in his ears, a mix of adrenaline and dread. He stepped away from the podium, feeling the heat of their gazes follow him, the sanctuary of the crowd slipping away. As they moved off to the side, Lily's worried gaze followed him, uncertainty etched on her face. It made Jack's gut twist. He didn't want to leave her behind or let her down. But Tom was the gateway to everything he'd fought to escape. Would he let that old chain pull him back? "Jack, you know why I'm here," Tom said, his voice low as they found a secluded corner. "This whole event, it's a distraction. I need you back where you belong. We've got a lot on the line at the company, and frankly, you can't afford to let this slip." Jack clenched his jaw. He felt the walls of the corporate world closing in again, the old pressures rearing their heads. "I don't want to go back. This is important, Tom. I'm trying to build something real." "Real?" Tom scoffed, shaking his head. "This is idealism, Jack. You think people care about this project? When push comes to shove, it's all about bottom lines, about survival. Look at the bigger picture. Maybe the bigger picture needs to change. Jack shot back, his voice rising with emotion. I'm not a machine made to churn out assets. I want to believe that there's more to our lives than just profit. The two men locked eyes, the air thick with tension. Tom's expression hardened. You're making a mistake. You'll regret this, trust me. What I regret is wasted years chasing money instead of meaning, Jack said, stepping back. I can't go back to that. I won tea. Suddenly, the sound of laughter and cheer from the gathering crowd reached his ears again. The reality of that night hit him like a rush of adrenaline. As he stood there facing the weight of expectations, he could almost feel the embrace of community surrounding him once more. Jack took a deep breath, reclaiming the energy he had felt just moments ago. A mixture of determination and fear surged within him. The prospect of returning to the suffocating corporate life ignited a fire of resolve. If I leave this behind to go back, I might as well lock my heart away forever. Tom's face contorted in frustration, but Jack had made his choice. It was as if a fog had lifted. He turned to move back toward the crowd, but Tom grabbed his arm, pulling him back. Think this through. You could lose everything. Jack looked him dead in the eye, determination igniting the air around them. What is everything worth if I don't have my soul? With that he broke free, shaking off Tom's grip. Jack rushed back to the crowd that was still buzzing, the warmth of acceptance and support wrapping around him once more. He searched for Lily, needing to find her amidst the sea of faces. When he finally spotted her, the light in her eyes sparkled with pride. It felt like coming home. But the reality of Tom's words lingered in his mind. What if he had made a grave mistake? As he moved toward Lily, he felt the gnawing doubt return. Could he really leave it all behind, or was he destined for the very chains he sought to escape? With Lily's hand gently clasped in his, he knew that whatever lay ahead would be a test of courage. An unexpected possibility flickered in his heart. Maybe it wasn't just about what he would lose, but what he could gain if he truly committed to this new path. But just as he was about to immerse himself fully in that thought, a commotion erupted nearby. A loud crash broke the optimism, pulling their attention away. Jack! Look! Lily exclaimed, eyes wide with concern. He turned, anxiety creeping back in. What now? As he caught sight of the fray, Jack realized the evening's unexpected challenges were only just beginning. Jack's heart raced as he pivoted to see what had caused the disruption. The crowd was shifting, murmurs rising like the tide, and faces turned towards the center where a nearby table lay overturned. Glasses shattered on the floor, glinting like shards of broken dreams scattered beneath the pulsating lights. Jack, we have to help. Lily urged, her hand tightening around his. He felt a rush of adrenaline surge once more. Leaving the comfort of Lily's grasp felt wrong, but he couldn't ignore the chaos unfolding. Every instinct told him to rush in. They moved toward the scene, weaving through a mix of onlookers who gaped in shock. As they drew closer, Jack spotted a young woman kneeling on the ground. She was disheveled, clothes slightly torn, her face pale as she gathered scattered items from the floor. A sense of vulnerability radiated from her, yet amidst the swirling panic, she managed to maintain a calm focus. Are you okay? Jack called out, kneeling beside her. The woman looked up, surprise melding with gratitude. I'm fine. Just my things. Jack glanced around. A handful of attendees had stepped back, leaving her alone in a sea of disinterest. It was the perfect reflection of the world he wanted to break free from. Oh no, this is not right, he said, frustration boiling beneath the surface. He turned to the crowd. Someone help her. Why are we standing around? A few people exchanged glances but offered no assistance. Lily stepped closer to Jack, her own compassion stoked by the moment. What can we do? We help her, Jack replied firmly. Together, they knelt down, collecting the woman's things. A small leather purse, a few wrinkled papers, and an old photograph fluttered beneath the clamor. Jack picked it up, glancing at the image before handing it to her. It captured a moment between the woman and a young girl, both smiling wide, caught in an embrace. Jack felt the heat rise in his chest not just for the woman's loss during this chaotic moment, but for what it represented, a disconnect in true human connection. "Thank you," the woman said, her voice trembling ever so slightly. "I didn't expect." Jack met her gaze. "You shouldn't have to do this alone." Their eyes held a moment longer, and suddenly, the intensity of her situation and his resolve collided. This wasn't just about helping her. This was a chance for world-changing empathy, the type Tom had scoffed at, but Jack felt it deep within him. This was the heart of what truly mattered, a community coming together. As the crowd behind them stirred, something shifted. Jack could feel a ripple, others began to step forward. One by one, people moved past their hesitation, offering a hand or a supportive word. The atmosphere began to change. For a moment, Jack watched the transformation of apathy into action, and hope sparked anew. "This is what I want," he thought, warmed by the growing sense of unity around him. Just then, an older man stepped into the mix, pushing past the onlookers with assertiveness. "What happened?" he exclaimed, surveying the scattered items. "It was an accident," Jack explained quickly, gesturing to the woman. "She needs help." "All right, let us get you sorted out," the man said, offering his hand to the young woman. Relief washed over Jack as he finally stood back with Lily beside him, watching the scene unfold. The chaos of just moments ago faded into something beautiful, a community reconnecting. But beneath that beauty, the unsettling echo of Tom's words tugged at the edges of Jack's mind. Was he merely swapping one set of challenges for another? As the noise of the crowd filled the air again, he couldn't shake the feeling that this newfound camaraderie might also come with its own form of sacrifice. The woman turned back to him then, her eyes brightening. "Thank you. You changed everything for me." Jack smiled, feeling a glimmer of hope. But the doubt still lingered. Would this be enough to sustain the life he wanted to build? "Stay with us," Lily whispered, squeezing his hand gently as they faced the crowd, now more vibrant than ever. Yet, before Jack could fully embrace that thought, a commotion sparked once more, drawing their attention away. What now? As the unexpected challenges unfolded, Jack had to wonder, would he ever find the clarity he sought, or was he merely chasing a dream that could unravel at any moment? The crowd began to murmur again, a low rumble that stirred the air thick with electric tension. Jack squinted into the swarm, searching for the source of the disturbance. Was it a second accident, or something worse? He felt Lily's grip tighten around his hand, her concern palpable. Then he saw it, a figure weaving through the throng. A tall man with an imposing presence, his expression hard as stone. He was heading directly for the young woman they had just helped. Jack's instinct kicked in, he had to protect her. "Stay here," he said to Lily, already moving toward the approaching figure. "Jack, don't." She called after him, but he didn't look back. His heart thundered in his chest as he pushed through the crowd. The worries of the night, the chaos, and the hints of doubt fell away. This felt crucial. "Hey! You can't just muscle your way in like that," Jack shouted, arriving before the man, blocking his path. The man's eyes narrowed, sizing Jack up. "And who are you to stop me?" he challenged, shifting his weight as he scanned the area for his target. "I'm here to make sure the lady's all right," Jack replied defiantly, pointing back to where the woman was still recovering her scattered belongings. He wasn't backing down this time. The stranger scoffed, his face twisting into a sneer. "She's nothing but a mess. Let me handle it." "That's not your decision," Jack shot back, fury bubbling beneath the surface. Was it the anger directed at the stranger, or at the way society just cast people aside? He couldn't tell anymore. From behind him, a voice chimed in. You need to leave her alone. It was the older man from earlier, stepping to Jack's side. More people hovered behind him, gathering like a protective wall around the vulnerable woman. Just back off before you regret it, the stranger threatened, but his bravado faltered under the growing weight of onlookers. Jack felt a rush of solidarity, people stepping forward, some emboldened by Jack's confrontation, others gripped by the shared sense of community. What do you want? Jack pressed, still standing firm, feeling Lily's presence with him now, a grounding force. Their eyes met briefly, and he knew they would face this together. I want what she owes, the man spat, his voice low and dangerous. Jack felt dread creep around his heart. The woman, still frail on the ground with a few remaining items cradled in her hands, looked up with an expression caught between fear and confusion. Owes? Jack echoed. What does she owe you? A debt, the man snapped. She got funds from my dad without paying it back. Time's up. The revelation hit Jack harder than a punch. It wasn't just the young woman's past that was about to resurface, but an ugly truth about the world they lived in. Life was constructed on promises, yet here they were, ready to watch someone drown over a debt she seemingly couldn't repay. Jack Lily whispered, worry clouding her eyes. What do we do? In that moment, the thoughts scattered like the broken glass on the floor. He had to decide. Fight this man, bracket her vulnerability with bravado, or find another way, an unexpected path that could shift everything. Listen, Jack began steadily, rallying his voice, casting a glance back at the woman, maybe we can find a compromise. As the tension built in the air, a small flicker of hope began to bubble inside Jack. Was there a way to help turn this situation around? But just then, a loud crash broke through the tension, a shattering sound that echoed into silence and froze everyone in place. Jack turned, heart leaping in alarm. What now? What would be waiting on the other side of this new threat? Jack's mind raced as he spun around, the crowd shifting anxiously behind him. The noise of shattering glass resonated in the air, an ominous result echoing of something imminent. He caught glimpses of startled faces and held breaths. What was that? Lily's voice trembled, and Jack could feel her lingering fear radiating through her fingers wrapped around his. I don't know, Jack replied, scanning the scene, struggling to shake off the unease. His instincts screamed to protect not just the woman on the ground and Lily but everyone around them. Then chaos erupted to his right. A young man stumbled backward, clutching his bleeding arm as he swayed dangerously. Behind him, a broken light fixture dangled precariously. The crowd gasped collectively, confusion and fear morphing into panic as more people glanced toward the source of the commotion. Get back! Jack shouted, instinctively moving toward the injured young man. But it wasn't just him moving, the crowd began to scatter, splitting into fragments of fraying nerves. He could see mothers pulling their children away, individuals bumping into one another as they fled from an unseen threat. Jack! Lily called, her voice cutting through the noise. He turned to see her, her face a mask of distress, pointing toward the woman they had been helping. She was now scrambling, trying to get to her feet, her fear igniting a fire within Jack. Stay close! He yelled, taking steady strides towards the woman. He reached her just as she collapsed to her knees again, a strange mixture of dread and disbelief washing over her features. What is going on? She stammered, eyes wide and shimmering with unshed tears. Before Jack could respond, the imposing figure from before loomed over them like an angry storm cloud, his earlier bravado replaced with fury. You're going to pay for this, he growled, stepping dangerously close. No, Jack shot back, anger amplifying his energy. This isn't your fight anymore. You're scaring her. The man opened his mouth to respond, but he was interrupted by the arrival of a police officer pushing through the crowd. What's happening here? Everyone stand back. The officer's presence instantly forced the crowd to pause, then retreat. The officer's sharp gaze locked onto the injured young man, already being supported by a couple of people nearby. What happened? The officer questioned. As the crowd quieted down, anxious whispers swept through the air. Jack seized the opportunity to take a breath and set his focus. This woman needs help. That man's trying to intimidate her about a debt. The officer nodded sharply, approaching the menacing figure with authority. You need to step back. We will take it from here. But the man sneered. She owes me, then you can file a claim properly, the officer interjected, his tone stern. Not here. Not like this. Relief washed over Jack, his fight alongside the community displaying its strength. But the tension that lingered in the air still felt like a tension wire drawn tight, ready to snap. He looked at the woman, her trembling frame slowly calming, but her eyes still glistening with fear. Are you all right? Jack asked her gently, crouching to her level. I don't know how this happened. I thought it would be different, she muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack wanted to reassure her, to offer hope, but suddenly, everything seemed fragile. We'll figure this out, he promised, but doubt lingered in his heart. Lily stepped close, squeezing Jack's arm, clearly seeing the weight of the moment. We should go somewhere safe, she suggested, looking towards the police officer who was now talking to the young man about his injury. Jack nodded, taking a deep breath, ready to lift the weight of both their burdens. But before they could move, he felt a tug at his sleeve. The young woman was looking at him earnestly. Can I stay with you? She asked earnestly, her voice trembling with vulnerability. Jack hesitated, glancing at Lily before meeting the woman's hopeful gaze. Could they risk bringing yet another uncertainty into their already tumultuous night? Of course, Jack replied, his voice steady, an authentic promise sparking in his chest. But just then, as they began to move, they heard a distant siren wail, cutting through the night like a blade. The chaos wasn't over yet, and an unexpected realization washed over Jack. What awaited them could unravel everything again. Stay close, he whispered to Lily and the woman, their fates intricately intertwined now, but there was a strange strength budding among them too. What awaited them as they stepped into the unknown? Jack's heart pounded as they navigated through the crowd, weaving between the lingering tension and uncertainty. The distant siren wailing felt like an ominous echo, a reminder that the chaos was far from over. Yet there was also something new stirring inside him, a flicker of resolve, brightening the shadows of doubt. Lily held onto his arm tightly, her small fingers grounding him as they moved closer to the exit. The young woman, her name still unknown, walked beside them, visibly shaken but determined to stay near. I didn't mean for this to happen, she stammered, glancing back at the remnants of chaos they were leaving behind. No one did, Jack said, offering a reassuring smile. You're safe now. As they pushed through the doors of the community center, the cool air washed over them like a fresh start. Outside, the laughter and energy of the fundraiser felt distant, like echoes from another world. But just beyond those walls lay a new horizon. Jack paused for a moment, looking around at the empty parking lot illuminated by streetlights. We need to find somewhere we can talk, he said. He led them toward a quieter corner, away from the commotion, bathed in a soft glow. Lily's eyes darted between him and the young woman. What's your name? She asked gently. Sarah, she replied, her voice just above a whisper. I'm so sorry for causing all this. Don't be, Jack said, his voice firm yet comforting. We're going to help you. The truth of their collective moment hung in the air. Jack had never expected to be here, navigating crises not for profit but for connection. Tell us what's going on, Sarah, he encouraged, stepping closer. Taking a deep breath, she hesitated, then opened up. I was trying to help my sister. She got into trouble, and I borrowed money from that man. I thought I could pay it back, but then her voice faltered, tears pooling in her eyes. Jack felt the weight of her burden pulling at his heartstrings. There was an undeniable connection forming, one that rippled between them, reminding him of his honesty back at the charity event. "You're not alone in this, Sarah. We've got your back," he pledged. Lily nodded fervently. "We can help you find a solution. Let us talk with the police, get help with this." Sarah's eyes lit up with hope amidst her turmoil, a flicker that ignited something profound within Jack. Working in the corporate world had often felt like swimming in isolation, but now, being between them a young girl with dreams and an even younger woman fighting for her family felt like embracing purpose. As they spoke candidly, Jack felt the walls around his heart continue to melt away. He realized he had a choice, not just for himself or for Lily but an opportunity to forge bonds deep enough to change the very fabric of their lives. "Results take time," he assured. "But we'll fight together." Just then, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed behind them, and Jack stiffened instinctively. It was a pair of police officers, their expressions alert yet understanding. "Is everything all right?" one asked, concern etched on his face. Jack stepped forward, a determined chill creeping into his stomach. "We need help. This young woman, Sarah, has a situation that needs addressing," he said clearly, gesturing toward her. "Something needs to change, and she shouldn't have to face it alone." The officers nodded, exchanging glances that spoke of understanding. They listened intently as Sarah recounted her story, her voice gaining strength. With every word, Jack felt the threads between them weave tighter. They learned about Sarah's sister, the circumstances that led them to this point, and the weight of financial despair. Sarah's insecurity transformed into steadfastness as she gained support from Jack and Lily, the warmth of shared belief empowering her. Finally, after an emotional conversation, the officers offered assistance. "We'll connect you with local resources that can help," one officer said kindly, searching out the broader picture. "You don't have to handle this alone." Jack felt a surge of relief, the tension in his shoulders loosening. They all stood together, the shadows of earlier chaos fading. He glanced at Lily, the radiant sincerity pouring from her every expression, and then at Sarah, whose glimmer of hope soared as she received their aid. In that moment, Jack was reminded of the hug that had started this journey, a simple embrace that had transformed his worldview. He understood now that genuine connections were powerful forces, capable of change and renewal. As the officers began to lay out a plan for support, Jack took a step back, feeling his heart swell with purpose. His life was moving into different dimensions he had never imagined. It was no longer about the corporate ladder or clout, it was now about community, about lifting one another. With camaraderie pulsating through them like a living heartbeat, Jack, Lily, and Sarah stepped into a future that wrapped them in warmth, one heartbeat at a time. The journey was wide open before them, full of promise. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the fabric of their lives was now being stitched with threads of hope and unity rather than fear and isolation. There would still be challenges ahead, but now, they had each other. And that was more powerful than anything he could have ever chased after alone. If you're inspired by Jack's journey and the transformations we discover together, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us keep this journey going, together.